Is this an hour to come home? You think I'm a fool? You think I don't know where you've been? After everything I've done to protect you, you betray me like this? What you're about to hear is not just a story about power, or money, or even love. This is a story about two people who were never supposed to meet. A man who controlled everything, except his own heart, and a woman who had nothing, except the one thing he could never buy. Before we begin, I want to know something. Where are you watching this from right now? Are you in Texas? California? Maybe New York? Drop your city or state in the comments below. I read every single one. Now, let me take you back to where this all started. The city never slept. But it wasn't the lights that kept people awake. It was fear. In the heart of the city stood a mansion that no one dared to photograph. No tourists. No police. Even the birds seemed to fly around it instead of over it. Inside that mansion lived a man named Cashin Wolf. You wouldn't know his name from the news. That's how he wanted it. But everyone who mattered knew exactly who he was. The politicians who passed laws in his favor. The judges who looked the other way. The businessmen who paid him protection money with smiles on their faces and terror in their eyes. Cashin Wolf was 38 years old. Tall. Handsome in a dangerous way, like a blade wrapped in silk. He wore suits that cost more than most people's cars. His watch could buy a house. But none of that mattered to him. What mattered was control. Every morning, he woke at 5. He ate breakfast at 6. By 7, he'd already made 3 phone calls that would change someone's life forever, usually not for the better. His staff moved through the mansion like ghosts. Silent. Efficient. Terrified. Because Cashin had one rule: never disappoint me. Those who broke that rule, well, they didn't get a second chance. But here's what Cashin didn't know. In exactly 48 hours, a 24-year-old woman with $3 in her pocket and holes in her shoes was going to walk through his front door. And nothing would ever be the same again. Her name was Sage. Sage Bennett. Though Bennett was just the name from the last foster home she'd lived in. She'd had so many last names growing up, she sometimes forgot which one was real. She grew up in the system, bounced from home to home like a package no one wanted to sign for. Some homes were okay. Most weren't. By the time she turned 18, she'd learned 3 important lessons. 1. Don't trust anyone who says they'll take care of you. 2. If you want to eat, you work. 3. Smile even when you're breaking inside. Because no one wants to deal with your pain. For 6 years, Sage worked 3 jobs. Mornings at a diner. Afternoons cleaning office buildings. Nights stocking shelves at a grocery store. She lived in a studio apartment the size of a closet. Her furniture came from the street. Her clothes from donation bins. But she never complained. Because Sage had a dream. She was saving money. Every single dollar she could spare went into a jar hidden under her bathroom sink. She was going to go to college. Become a teacher. Give kids like her a chance. She was $300 away from having enough for her first semester. $300. Then, on a Tuesday morning in October, everything fell apart. The diner closed. Just like that. The owner disappeared overnight, owing 3 months of rent. Sage showed up for her shift and found a locked door and a sign that said closed permanently. 2 days later, the cleaning company went bankrupt. By Friday, the grocery store told her they were cutting staff. 3 jobs gone in 1 week. Sage sat on the floor of her apartment that night, staring at the jar of money. The jar she'd filled with 6 years of exhausted nights and skipped meals. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. That's when she saw the ad. It was in the back of a free newspaper someone had left on the subway. A small box, easy to miss. Housekeeper needed. Live-in position. Private estate. Excellent pay. Discretion required. Call for interview. The phone number was handwritten. Sage stared at that ad for 20 minutes. Something about it felt wrong. But she was 2 weeks away from eviction. Her stomach hadn't felt full in days. She made the call. A woman answered. Her voice was cold, professional. Can you start Monday? Sage hadn't even interviewed yet. Yes, she said. Good. Memorize this address. Don't write it down. Don't tell anyone where you're going. If you're late, don't bother coming at all. The line went dead. Sage sat there, her heart pounding, wondering what she'd just agreed to. Monday morning arrived cold and gray. Sage stood outside the mansion gates at exactly 5:45 a.m., 15 minutes early. Her entire life fit into a backpack on her shoulders. She wore her only nice dress, the one she'd bought 3 years ago for a job interview. It was too thin for the weather, and she shivered as she waited. The gates opened by themselves. No person. No sound except the mechanical whir of motors. The driveway was longer than her entire street back home. Trees lined both sides, their branches hanging over like they were trying to hide the house from the sky. When the mansion finally came into view, Sage stopped walking. It looked like something from a movie. 3 stories of stone and glass. Windows that reflected the clouds so perfectly, you couldn't tell where the building ended and the sky began. The front door opened before she could knock. A woman stood there. 60 years old, maybe older. Gray hair pulled back, so tight it looked painful. She wore all black. Her eyes scanned Sage from head to toe, and her mouth turned down like she'd tasted something sour. "You're the new girl." It wasn't a question. "Yes, ma'am. I'm Sage. I don't care about your name. I'm Mrs. Voss. I run this house. You do exactly what I tell you, when I tell you, how I tell you. You don't ask questions. You don't speak to Mr. Wolf unless he speaks to you first. You don't go into rooms you haven't been assigned to clean. You don't touch anything except what you're told to touch. You don't exist here. Do you understand?" Sage swallowed hard. "Yes, ma'am. Your room is in the East Wing, 3rd floor. You'll find uniforms in the closet. You start work at 6 a.m. You finish when I say you finish. Breakfast is at 5:30. If you're late, you don't eat. If you break something, it comes out of your pay. If you steal something, you go to jail. If you betray Mr. Wolf's privacy." Mrs. Voss stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "If you betray his privacy, you disappear. Do you understand what I mean by disappear?" The way she said it made Sage's blood turn cold. Yes. Yes, ma'am." "Good. Go to your room. Change. Meet me in the kitchen in 20 minutes. Mrs. Voss turned and walked away, her shoes clicking on the marble floor like a countdown clock. Sage stood there for a moment, wondering if she should run. But where would she go? The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of exhaustion. Sage worked 16 hours a day, sometimes more. She cleaned rooms the size of her old apartment. She polished silver until her hands cramped. She scrubbed floors on her hands and knees until her back screamed. And she never, not once, saw Cashin Wolf. But she felt him everywhere. The other staff talked about him in whispers, like saying his name too loud would summon him. There were 7 people working in the house. A chef, a driver, a gardener, 3 other housekeepers, and Mrs. Voss, who seemed to see everything even when she wasn't in the room. They all had stories. About the man who'd been fired for looking Mr. Wolf in the eye too long. About the housekeeper who'd been caught going through his office and was never seen again. About the time Mr. Wolf threw a dinner party and one of the guests insulted him. The guest's car was found in the river the next morning. Empty. "He's not cruel," one of the older housekeepers whispered to Sage one night. "He's just exact. He expects perfection. If you give him that, you're fine. If you don't." She didn't finish the sentence. Sage learned the rules fast. Never be in the same room as Mr. Wolf unless you're cleaning it. If he enters a room you're in, you leave immediately. Never look at him directly. Never speak unless spoken to. Never ever ask about his business. The mansion had entire wings she wasn't allowed to enter. Doors that stayed locked. Rooms that Mrs. Voss cleaned personally. At night, Sage lay in her small room and listened to the sounds of the house. Footsteps in the halls. Voices too quiet to understand. Once she heard shouting. Then silence. She tried not to think about what that silence meant. Then, on her 15th day, everything changed. It was a Thursday. October 23rd. Sage was cleaning the 2nd floor hallway. It was 7 in the evening, later than usual, because Mrs. Voss had added extra work to her list. Her back ached. Her fingers were raw from scrubbing. She was on her hands and knees, washing the baseboards, when she heard footsteps. Heavy, purposeful, coming down the hall. Her heart jumped. She knew those footsteps. Everyone did. Cash and Wolf. She'd been told what to do in this situation. Drop everything. Leave immediately. Don't make eye contact. But she was on the floor and her bucket was blocking the hallway, and before she could move. What are you doing? The voice stopped her cold. It was deep, calm. But underneath the calm was something sharp. Something dangerous. Sage didn't look up. Cleaning, sir. I'm sorry, I'll move. I didn't ask you to move. I asked what you're doing. I'm washing the baseboards, sir. At 7 in the evening. Mrs. Voss asked me to, sir. Silence. Sage could feel him looking at her. She kept her eyes on the floor, her heart hammering so hard she was sure he could hear it. Look at me. Her whole body went rigid. That was against the rules. She wasn't supposed to look at him, but he just told her to. Slowly, Sage lifted her head, and for the first time, she saw Cash and Wolf. He was not what she expected. Yes, he was tall. Yes, he was handsome. But it wasn't his looks that made her breath catch. It was his eyes. They were dark, almost black, and they looked at her like he could see through her skin, through her bones, straight into every secret she'd ever kept. He studied her face for a long moment. Then his gaze dropped to her hands. Her raw, red, trembling hands. Something flickered across his face. Too fast to read. How old are you? The question surprised her. 24, sir. How long have you been here? 15 days, sir. You're new? Yes, sir. He was quiet again. Then, what's your name? No one had asked her that since she'd arrived. Sage, sir. Sage Bennett. Sage. He said it slowly, like he was testing how it sounded. You're too thin. She didn't know what to say to that. From now on, Cashin continued, his voice firm. You eat 3 meals a day. If Mrs. Voss tries to skip you, you tell me. Understood? Sage blinked. Was he concerned about her? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. He nodded once. Then he stepped around her and her bucket and continued down the hall. Sage stayed frozen on the floor, her mind spinning. What just happened? After that night, things changed. Cashin didn't speak to her again. But Sage saw him more often. He'd walk through rooms she was cleaning. He never acknowledged her directly, but she felt his eyes on her. Brief glances. Like he was checking something. Mrs. Voss noticed too. Stay away from him, the older woman hissed one morning. I don't know what you did, but Mr. Wolf is watching you. That's not good. Keep your head down and do your work. Sage tried. She really did. But it was hard to stay invisible when Cash and Wolf seemed determined to see her. 3 days after their first conversation, she was carrying a tray of breakfast dishes to the kitchen when she heard shouting. It came from Cashin's study. A man's voice, pleading. Then Cashin's voice, cold and final. You stole from me, Marcus. That's unfortunate for you. Please, I have a family. You should have thought about your family before you betrayed me. Sage shouldn't have stopped. She knew that. But something in the man's voice, the pure terror, made her freeze in the hallway. Then she heard the sound. A gunshot. Not loud like in movies. Quieter. More final. Then silence. Sage's hands shook so badly the dishes on her tray rattled. She pressed herself against the wall, trying to be invisible, trying not to breathe. The study door opened. Cashin walked out. There was blood on his white shirt cuff. A small spot. Barely noticeable. He saw her. Their eyes met. Sage waited for him to be angry. To punish her for being there. For hearing. Instead, he looked tired. Go to the kitchen, Sage, he said quietly. Forget what you heard. Then he walked past her, leaving a trail of expensive cologne and danger. Sage ran to the kitchen. She put the tray down, went to the bathroom, and threw up. That's when she understood. She wasn't working for a businessman. She was working for a killer. Sage should have left. She knew that. Every logical part of her brain screamed at her to pack her bag and run. But where would she go? Back to her empty apartment? She'd already been evicted. Her things were probably on the street by now. Back to working 3 jobs? Those jobs didn't exist anymore. And here's the truth no one wants to admit. Sometimes you don't leave a bad situation because you're brave enough to face it. You stay because you're too tired to find another one. So Sage stayed. But she was careful. So careful. She learned Cashin's schedule by heart. When he woke up, when he ate, when he had meetings. She timed her cleaning to avoid him. For a week, it worked. Then, on a cold November morning, Mrs. Voss called her into the office. "You're being reassigned," the older woman said, her face tight with disapproval. "Reassigned? Mr. Wolf wants his personal rooms cleaned. Bedroom, bathroom, office." Sage's stomach dropped. "But I thought you. Mr. Wolf specifically requested you." The way Mrs. Voss said specifically made it sound like an accusation. "I don't understand. Why would he?" "I don't question Mr. Wolf's decisions. Neither should you. You'll start tomorrow. 6 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. And Sage." Mrs. Voss leaned forward. "Whatever game you're playing, stop it. Girls like you don't end up well in houses like this." Sage wanted to say she wasn't playing any game, that she was just trying to survive. But Mrs. Voss wouldn't have believed her. The next morning, Sage stood outside Cashin's bedroom door at 5:55 a.m. Her hands were sweating. Her heart was racing. This was a bad idea. Everything about this felt like a trap. But she'd been given an order. She knocked softly. "Come in." His voice came from inside, calm and awake. Sage opened the door. Cashin's bedroom was nothing like she'd imagined. She'd expected something cold, modern, expensive, but empty. Instead, the room was lived in. Bookshelves lined one wall, packed with worn paperbacks and leather-bound classics. A fireplace sat cold and dark. The bed was huge but unmade, the blankets tangled like he'd had a restless night. And there were photographs, small ones in simple frames. On the dresser, on the nightstand, a young boy with dark hair, smiling at the camera. A woman with kind eyes, holding the same boy. A family that no longer existed. "You can start with the bathroom." Sage jumped. She'd been so focused on the room, she hadn't noticed Cashin standing by the window. He was dressed in black pants and a white shirt, unbuttoned at the collar. No jacket. No tie. His hair was slightly messy. He looked human. "Yes, sir." "Sorry, sir." She grabbed her cleaning supplies and hurried to the bathroom. For the next 2 hours, she worked in silence. She could feel him in the other room. Sometimes she heard him on the phone, his voice low and threatening. Sometimes she heard nothing at all, which was worse. When she finished the bathroom, she moved to the bedroom. Cashin sat at a desk near the window, writing something by hand. He didn't look up as she started cleaning. Sage worked quietly, efficiently. Don't draw attention. Don't make mistakes. She was dusting the bookshelf when her hand accidentally knocked a frame off balance. She caught it before it fell, but the sudden movement made Cashin glance over. "Careful with that." "Yes, sir." "I'm sorry." She set the frame back carefully. It was the photo of the woman and the young boy. "My mother." Sage froze. He was talking to her. Actually talking to her. "She's beautiful, sir." She was. Past tense. The weight of it hung in the air. "She died when I was 12. Sage didn't know what to say. "I'm sorry" felt too small. "Don't be. It was a long time ago." But the way he said it, the slight crack in his voice, told Sage it still hurt. Before she could think better of it, she said, "I lost my parents when I was 4. Foster care after that. I don't remember them much, but sometimes I dream about my mom's voice. I can never remember what she sounded like when I wake up." The words tumbled out before she could stop them. Cashin looked at her. Really looked at her. Not like an employee. Like a person. "That's the worst part," he said quietly. "Forgetting. Their voices. Their faces. Until all you have left are photographs and stories that might not even be real." They stared at each other across the room. In that moment, Sage saw something in his eyes she'd never expected to see. Pain. Real, raw, Human pain. Then Cashin's phone rang and the moment shattered. He answered it, his voice immediately cold and professional. What is it? Sage went back to cleaning, her heart racing. What just happened? After that day, Cashin found excuses to be in the room when Sage cleaned. He'd work at his desk, make phone calls, read, and he'd watch her. Not in a creepy way, more like curiosity, like she was a puzzle he was trying to solve. Sometimes he'd ask her questions. Where did you grow up? Did you ever find a good foster home? What were you going to do before you came here? Sage answered honestly. She didn't know why. Maybe because he was the first person in years who seemed actually interested in her answers. I was saving for college, she told him one morning. I wanted to be a teacher. Why? Because no one ever made me feel like I mattered. I wanted to be that person for someone else. Cashin was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, You would have been good at that. Would have been. Like that future was already gone. Here's what Sage didn't know. Cashin Wolf hadn't cared about anyone in 15 years. Not since his mother died. Not since he'd had to become someone else to survive. Someone hard. Someone dangerous. He'd built walls around himself so high, so thick, even he couldn't remember what was on the other side anymore. But this girl, this quiet, broken, beautiful girl who cleaned his room and asked for nothing and looked at him like he was still human. She was cracking those walls. And that terrified him. Because Cashin knew what happened to people he cared about. They died 0.6 weeks into her job. Something unprecedented happened. Cashin invited Sage to dinner. She was cleaning his study when he said it. Have dinner with me tonight. Sage looked up, sure she'd heard wrong. Sir? Dinner. Tonight. 8 p.m. In the dining room. I don't understand. It's not complicated, Sage. I'm asking you to have dinner with me. Say yes or no. Her mind raced. This was wrong. Employers didn't eat with their maids. Especially not employers like Cashin Wolf. Why? She asked. Because I want to. That was all the explanation he gave. Sage knew she should say no. Every instinct screamed at her to say no. But when she opened her mouth, what came out was, yes. Cashin nodded, like he'd expected that answer. Good. Wear something nice. Not a uniform. I don't have anything nice, sir. He pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. Someone will bring you a dress at 6. It'll fit. Sir, I can't accept. You can. You will. His tone left no room for argument. That evening, a box arrived at her room. Inside was a dress more expensive than her entire wardrobe combined. Simple but elegant. Dark blue. Soft as water. There was no note. No explanation. At 8 p.m., Sage walked into the dining room, her heart in her throat. Cashin stood when she entered. He wore a black suit, perfectly tailored. But what struck her was his expression. He looked nervous. Cashin Wolf, the man who'd shot someone in his study without blinking, looked nervous about a dinner. You look beautiful, he said. No one had ever called Sage beautiful before. Thank you, sir. Cashin. Tonight, call me Cashin. They sat across from each other at the long table. A chef brought out course after course. Food Sage had never even heard of, let alone tasted. But she barely noticed the food, because Cashin was talking to her. Really talking. About books he loved. Places he'd traveled. Mistakes he'd made. The mother he still missed. I wasn't always this, he said quietly, gesturing to himself. To the mansion. To everything. I used to want to be an architect. Can you believe that? I wanted to build things, not destroy them. What happened? Sage asked. Cashin's face darkened. Life. Death. Choices you can't take back. Is that why you do what you do? She shouldn't have asked. She knew that the second the words left her mouth. But Cashin didn't get angry. He just looked at her with those dark, sad eyes. I do what I do because it's all I know how to do anymore. But sometimes... He paused. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd made different choices. If I'd been braver. Or weaker. I don't know which. Sage reached across the table, without thinking. Her hand covered his. You're not a bad person, Cashin. He stared at their joined hands like he couldn't remember the last time someone touched him with kindness. You don't know me, Sage. Maybe not. But I see you. Every day. And I see someone who's lonely. Someone who's tired. Someone who wishes he could be different. Cashin's jaw tightened. For a moment, she thought he might cry. Instead, he pulled his hand away and stood up. You should go. Cashin. Now, Sage. Please. His voice cracked on please. Sage stood, confused and hurt. Did I say something wrong?
No.
He turned away from her. That's the problem. You said something right. After that dinner, everything changed. Cashin became cold again.
Distant.
He barely looked at Sage when she cleaned his rooms. He stopped asking questions. Stopped talking. It hurt more than it should have. But Sage understood. Or she thought she did. He was protecting himself. Protecting her. From what? She wasn't sure. 2 weeks passed like this. Silent.
Tense.
Then one night, Sage was walking back to her room after finishing work. It was late, past midnight. The mansion was dark and quiet. She passed Cashin's study. The door was open a crack. Light spilled into the hallway. She should have kept walking. But she heard something that made her stop.
Crying.
Not loud. Not dramatic. Just quiet, broken sobs. Cashin was crying. Sage stood outside the door, her heart breaking for reasons she didn't fully understand. She knocked softly. The crying stopped immediately. Come in. His voice was rough, like he'd been drowning, and just came up for air. Sage pushed the door open. Cashin sat behind his desk, a glass of whiskey in his hand. His eyes were red. His face was wrecked. You should be asleep, he said. So should you. I don't sleep much anymore. Sage stepped into the room. Closed the door behind her. What's wrong? Everything. Nothing. Does it matter? It matters to me. Cashin laughed, but it sounded like it hurt.
Why?
Why you care, Sage? I'm a monster. I've done things that would make you run screaming if you knew. Then tell me.
No.
Why not? Because. He stood up, his control finally snapping. Because if I tell you, you'll look at me the way everyone else does. Like I'm something to fear, instead of someone to know. And I can't lose the way you look at me. Not yet. Not when it's the only good thing I have left. The confession hung between them like a live wire. Sage walked around the desk. Stood in front of him. I already know what you are, Cashin. I heard you kill someone 6 weeks ago, remember? I know exactly what you do. And I'm still here. You're here because you have nowhere else to go.
No.
She put her hand on his chest, right over his heart. She could feel it racing. I'm here because I choose to be. Because beneath all this darkness, beneath all the terrible things you've done, I see someone worth knowing. Someone worth saving. I'm not worth saving. That's not your choice to make. Cashin stared at her, his breathing ragged. Then, slowly, like he was fighting himself every inch of the way, he raised his hand and touched her face. His fingers were gentle, trembling. You're going to destroy me, he whispered. Aren't you? I don't want to destroy you. I want to know you. What if knowing me destroys you instead? Then I guess we'll both be destroyed. Cashin leaned down. His forehead touched hers. They stood like that, breathing the same air for a long moment. Then Cashin pulled away. Go to bed, Sage. Please. Before I do something we'll both regret. What if I wouldn't regret it? I would. Because you deserve better than this.
Better than me.
Sage wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong. But the pain in his eyes was so raw, so real, she couldn't. She left the study, but she left her heart behind. 3 days later, Sage's life took another turn. Mrs. Voss called her into the office. You have tomorrow afternoon off, the older woman said. Sage blinked. In 2 months, she hadn't had a single day off. Why? Mr. Wolf's orders. Don't question it. Just take it. The next afternoon, Sage left the mansion for the first time since she'd arrived. She took the bus into the city, just to remember what the outside world felt like. She walked through a park, watched people live normal lives, bought herself a coffee with money she'd saved. In the coffee shop, a man smiled at her. He was young, maybe 30, handsome in a normal, safe way. "You look like you're having a good day," he said. Sage smiled back, shy. "Just enjoying being outside." "I'm Ryan. Mind if I sit?" They talked for 2 hours. About nothing important. Movies.
Books.
Weather. It felt normal.
Easy. Light.
Everything with Cashin wasn't. Ryan asked for her number. Sage hesitated, then gave it to him. Why not? It wasn't like Cashin wanted her. He'd made that clear. She got back to the mansion at 7 p.m., an hour before her curfew. But when she walked through the door, Mrs. Voss was waiting. "Mr. Wolf wants to see you."
Now.
Sage's stomach dropped. Why? He didn't say. His study. Go. Sage walked to the study, her heart pounding. She knocked. "Come in." She opened the door. Cashin sat behind his desk, his face carved from stone. But his eyes were burning. "Close the door."
She did.
"Where were you?" I had the afternoon off," Mrs. Voss said. "I know what Mrs. Voss said. I asked where you were." "In the city. I went to a park. Got coffee." "Alone?" The way he said it made her skin prickle. Why does that matter? Cashin stood up slowly, walked around the desk. Each step deliberate. Dangerous. "Answer the question, Sage. Were you alone?" I met someone. At the coffee shop. We just talked." Something dark flashed across Cashin's face. "A man?" "Yes, but it wasn't." "Did he touch you?"
What?
"No. Cashin, we just talked."
Did he touch
"You." His voice was quiet. Too quiet. Sage's anger flared. "And what if he did? What business is it of yours? You're not my boyfriend. You're not my anything. You made that very clear 3 days ago, when you told me to leave." Cashin moved fast. Suddenly, he was in front of her, so close she could smell his cologne, feel his heat. "You're right," he said, his voice rough. "I'm not your anything. I have no claim on you. No right to feel what I'm feeling right now." "And what are you feeling?" His jaw clenched. "Like I want to find that man and make him disappear. Like I want to lock you in this house and never let you leave. Like I'm losing my mind because the thought of someone else touching you, talking to you, making you smile."
He stopped.
"Breathe hard. It's killing me, Sage. And I have no right to feel that way. But I do." Sage's breath caught. "Cashin, go to your room. Before I do something we can't take back." "What if I don't want to go?" "Sage, please. I'm barely holding on here." "Then don't. Don't hold on." They stared at each other. The air between them crackled with electricity. Then Cashin's phone rang. The spell broke. He answered it, his voice immediately cold and professional. "What?" His face changed as he listened. Got darker. Harder. "When?" A pause. "How many?" Another pause. "I'll handle it." He hung up, looked at Sage with something like regret.
Leave. Now.
"Don't ask questions." "What's wrong?" "Sage. Tell me what's wrong." "There's been an attack. On one of my warehouses. 3 of my men are dead. This is war now, and you need to be nowhere near me when it starts." Fear gripped her. "You're going to fight back." "I don't have a choice." "There's always a choice." "Not in my world." He grabbed her shoulders. Not hard, but firm. "Listen to me. The next few days are going to be dangerous. Stay in your room. Don't answer the door for anyone except Mrs. Voss. Don't leave the mansion. Don't call that man from the coffee shop.
Don't."
He stopped. "Just stay safe. Please. Come back alive." "I'll try." He left before she could say anything else. Sage stood in the empty study, tears streaming down her face, and realized something terrifying. She was in love with Cashin Wolf, and that was going to destroy her. Sage didn't sleep that night. She lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, jumping at every sound. Gunshots echoed in the distance. Once.
Twice.
Then silence. At 3 a.m., she heard cars pulling up to the mansion. Shouting. More gunshots, closer this time. She wanted to go downstairs to make sure Cashin was okay. But she'd promised to stay in her room. At dawn, someone knocked on her door. Mrs. Voss stood there, her face gray. Mr. Wolf wants to see you. He's in his room. Is he okay? Go see for yourself. Sage ran. She burst into Cashin's room without knocking. He sat on the edge of his bed, his shirt off, blood on his shoulder. Cashin. She rushed to him. Her hands shook as she examined the wound. It's just a graze, he said tiredly. I've had worse. You need a doctor? I've had one. He just left. Sage, I'm fine. You're not fine. You're bleeding. It'll stop. He caught her hand. Why are you crying? She hadn't realized she was. Because I thought you might not come back. Cashin pulled her closer. Between his knees. His hands rested on her hips. I told you I'd try. That's not good enough. You can't die on me, Cashin. I won't let you. He smiled. Actually smiled. You won't let me?
No.
I forbid it. Noted. He pressed his forehead to her stomach. His voice dropped to a whisper. You know what kept me alive out there tonight? The thought of coming back to you. Of seeing your face. Hearing your voice. I've survived 38 years without caring if I lived or died. Then you walked into my life, and suddenly, he looked up at her. Suddenly, I have a reason to survive. Sage's heart cracked wide open. Cashin, Don't say it. Because if you say it, everything changes. And I can't protect you if everything changes. Maybe I don't need protecting. Everyone in my life needs protecting. Especially from me. I'm not afraid of you. You should be. Sage cupped his face in her hands. I'm in love with you, Cashin Wolf. And you can tell me not to say it, but that doesn't make it less true. Cashin closed his eyes like she'd heard him. Sage, I know you love me too. I see it every time you look at me. I feel it every time you're near me. So stop pushing me away. Stop trying to protect me from yourself. Just be with me. Please. Cashin was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up, pulled her close, and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate. Hungry. Like a man drowning and finally finding air. Sage kissed him back with everything she had. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Cashin rested his forehead against hers. This is a mistake, he whispered. Then let's make it together. For 3 weeks, they lived in a beautiful lie. During the day, Sage was still the maid. She cleaned. She worked. She kept her distance in front of the staff. But at night, she was his. Cashin would call her to his room. They'd talk for hours. About everything. Nothing. He'd tell her stories about his childhood. She'd tell him about her dreams. He'd hold her like she might disappear. She'd trace the scars on his skin and ask about each one. They didn't sleep together. Not in that way. Cashin refused. Not yet, he'd say. Not until I can give you a real life. Not this one. I don't want a different life. I want this one. With you. You say that now. But this world destroys beautiful things, Sage. I won't let it destroy you. But here's what Cashin didn't realize. It was already too late. The other crime families had noticed his weakness. A woman. A maid. Someone who made the untouchable Cashin Wolf vulnerable. And in that world, vulnerability was death. The first warning came on a Tuesday. Sage was in the garden, taking a rare break, when a man approached her. He wore an expensive suit, had kind eyes, a gentle smile. Excuse me, are you Sage? She tensed immediately. Who's asking? A friend. I wanted to give you some advice. He sat down on the bench beside her. Not too close. Non-threatening. You're in danger here. More than you know. I don't know what you're talking about. Cashin Wolf is a powerful man. But he's not invincible. And right now, his enemies know exactly how to hurt him. The man looked at her with something like pity. They're watching you, Sage. Waiting for the right moment. Who are you? Someone who's seen this story before. It never ends well. Not for the girl. He stood up. If you care about him, leave. Tonight. Don't tell him goodbye. Just go. It's the only way to save both of you. He walked away before she could respond. Sage sat there, her hands shaking. She wanted to dismiss it, tell herself the man was lying. But deep down, she knew he wasn't. That night, she told Cashin about the encounter. His face went white, then red, then terrifyingly calm. Describe him.
She did.
Rico Valentino. He runs the north side. Cashin's jaw clenched. He's right. You're in danger. As long as you're with me, you're a target. Then we'll deal with it together.
No.
You'll leave.
Tomorrow.
I'll arrange. I'm not leaving. Sage, this isn't a discussion. You're right. It's not. Because I'm not going anywhere. I don't care how dangerous it is. I don't care what happens to me. I'm staying.
Why?
Why would you risk your life for someone like me? Because I love you. The words came out louder than she intended. Because you're the first person who ever made me feel like I mattered. Because when I'm with you, I'm not alone anymore. And I don't care if that makes me stupid or crazy or reckless. I'm not leaving you. Cashin grabbed her face, kissed her hard. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you've got me anyway. He held her that night, tighter than ever before. Like he knew it wouldn't last. IT happened 3 days later. Sage was shopping for groceries, one of the few tasks Cashin still let her do outside the mansion. Mrs. Voss was with her, along with 2 of Cashin's guards. They were walking to the car, bags in hand, when the van pulled up. Everything happened fast. Too fast. Men in masks jumped out. Grabbed Sage. She screamed. The guards reached for their guns. Gunshots. Mrs. Voss fell. One guard went down. The other tried to fight, but was overwhelmed. Sage kicked and struggled as they dragged her into the van, but there were too many of them. A cloth pressed over her face. Chemicals smell. Sweet and wrong. Her vision blurred. The last thing she saw before the darkness took her was Mrs. Voss lying on the pavement, blood pooling around her. Then nothing. Cashin got the call 30 minutes later. He was in a meeting, discussing shipments, numbers, business. His phone rang. One of his guards, the one who'd survived. Sir, they took her. Cashin's blood turned to ice. Who? Sage. And they shot Mrs. Voss. She's alive but critical. I tried to stop them, I swear. Who took her? I don't know. They wore masks. There were too many. Cashin hung up, stood. The men in the meeting looked at him nervously. Get out, Cashin said quietly. They scrambled to leave. Cashin stood alone in his office, his hands shaking, his mind racing. Then, he did something he hadn't done in 26 years. He screamed. A raw, broken sound that came from somewhere deep inside. He grabbed his desk and flipped it. Papers flew. Glass shattered. He punched the wall until his knuckles bled. Because he'd known this would happen. He'd known from the moment he fell in love with her that it would end like this. And he'd let it happen anyway. Cashin made 15 phone calls in the next hour. Called in every favor. Threatened every contact. Promised things he'd never promised before. By midnight, he had a name. Rico Valentino. The same man who'd warned Sage to leave. A message was sent. Cashin's response was simple. Give her back, or I burn your whole world down. Rico's response came an hour later. You want her? Come get her.
Come alone. The old warehouse on 5th.
Midnight tomorrow. If you bring anyone, she dies. It was a trap. Cashin knew it was a trap. He went anyway. Sage woke up in darkness. Her head pounded. Her mouth tasted like chemicals. Her hands were tied behind her back. She was sitting in a chair in the middle of a warehouse. Empty. Cold. Light coming through broken windows. Men stood around her. 5 of them. All armed. And in front of her, sitting in his own chair, perfectly calm, was Rico Valentino. Hello, Sage. I'm glad you're awake. We're about to have company. Where am I? Somewhere Cashin Wolf will come looking for you. That's all that matters. He'll kill you. Rico smiled. He'll try. That's what I'm counting on. I don't understand. Cashin Wolf has controlled the city for 10 years. He's untouchable, unkillable. But every man has a weakness. And you, my dear, are his. Rico leaned forward. When he walks through that door tonight, he won't be thinking clearly. He'll be emotional, reckless. And that's when we'll end him. Sage's heart hammered. You're going to kill him. I'm going to let him kill himself trying to save you. He won't come alone. He's smarter than that.
He will.
Because I told him if he brings backup, you die. And he loves you too much to risk it. Sage pulled against the ropes. They didn't budge. You're a monster.
No, sweetheart.
I'm a businessman. Cashin Wolf is bad for business. This is just strategy. Hours passed. Sage tried everything to get free. Nothing worked. Then, at exactly midnight, the warehouse door opened. Cashin walked in alone. He wore all black. No jacket. No tie. His gun visible in his holster. He looked at Sage first, making sure she was alive. When their eyes met, the relief on his face was overwhelming. Then he looked at Rico. Let her go. Cashin Wolf. Thank you for coming. I'm here, like you asked. Now, let her go. Not yet. First, we talk business. I'm not here for business. I'm here for her. I know. That's the problem. Rico stood. You've gotten soft, Cashin. You used to be a ghost. Now you're a man. And men can be broken. Let her go, Rico. Last warning. Or what? You'll shoot me? Go ahead. Rico spread his arms. But the second you do, my men kill her. So really, what are your options here? Cashin's jaw clenched. His hand moved to his gun. Don't, Sage said. Her voice was hoarse but clear. Cashin, don't. It's not worth it. You're worth everything. He's right. You've gone soft. A new voice. Another man stepped out of the shadows. Older. Gray hair. Expensive suit. Cashin's face went pale. Father. Sage stared at the older man, her mind reeling. Father? Hello, son. The man walked into the light. He looked like an older version of Cashin. Same eyes. Same cold expression. It's been a long time. Not long enough. Cashin's voice was ice. You're supposed to be dead. I let you believe that. It was easier. You were always too emotional. Too weak. I needed you to become someone else. Someone stronger. Looks like I failed. What do you want? What I've always wanted.
Control.
This city is mine, Cashin. It always has been. I let you play king for a while. But now. He gestured to Sage. Now you've made yourself vulnerable. And I can't have a weak son running my empire. Your empire? Cashin laughed bitterly. I built this. Every piece of it. You abandoned me when I was 12 years old. I freed you. Your mother made you soft. Just like this girl is making you soft now. The old man pulled out a gun, pointed it at Sage. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to shoot her. Prove you're still my son. Or I will. And then I'll kill you too. Sage's blood turned cold. Cashin stared at his father like he was seeing a demon. You want me to kill her. I want you to remember who you are. A wolf. We don't love. We don't feel. We survive. His finger moved to the trigger. Choose, Cashin. Her or your life. 10 seconds. Cashin, don't. Sage's voice shook. Don't let him make you into him. Please. 9. Sage.
8.
I need you to know something, Sage said quickly, tears streaming. You're not him. You're not a monster. You're the man who held me when I cried. Who asked about my dreams. Who made me feel human again. Don't let him take that from you. I'd rather die than watch you become him. 7. Cashin's hand went to his gun. 6. I'm sorry, he whispered. 5. He raised the gun. 4. Pointed it. 3. At his father. 2. I choose her. 1. Cashin fired. Everything exploded into chaos. The bullet hit his father in the shoulder. Not fatal, but enough. Rico's men opened fire. Cashin dove behind a concrete pillar. Returned fire. 2 men went down. Then Sage heard it. Footsteps.
Dozens of them.
The warehouse doors burst open. Cashin's men flooded in, guns blazing. He hadn't come alone after all. In the chaos, Sage managed to tip her chair over. The impact broke one of the wooden legs. She wiggled free of the ropes. Across the warehouse, Cashin fought like a demon, taking down man after man. His father tried to escape, but was surrounded. Rico pulled Sage to her feet, gunned her head. Cashin spun around, saw Rico holding Sage. Everything else stopped mattering. Let her go, Rico. You destroyed my plan. Killed my men. Do you really think I'm letting her live now?
Please.
Cashin lowered his gun.
Please.
I'll do anything. Just don't hurt her. Anything? Rico smiled. Then drop your gun. Kick it away. Get on your knees.
Cashin did.
Without hesitation. Cashin, no. Sage struggled. Get up. It's okay, Cashin said softly. His eyes met hers. It's okay, Sage. I love you. Remember that. Rico pressed the gun harder against Sage's temple. Now watch her die. But Sage remembered something. The self-defense classes she'd taken years ago. When she was living on the streets. When she needed to protect herself. She went limp in Rico's arms. The sudden dead weight surprised him. His grip loosened. Just for a second. It was enough. Sage elbowed him in the ribs. Twisted. Grabbed his gun hand. The gun went off. The bullet missed. Cashin moved like lightning. Crossed the distance in seconds. Tackled Rico to the ground. 3 punches.
Fast.
Brutal. Rico stopped moving. Cashin grabbed Sage. Pulled her into his arms. Are you hurt? Tell me you're not hurt. I'm okay. I'm okay. He buried his face in her hair, his whole body shaking. Around them, the fight ended. Cashin's men had won. His father lay on the ground, wounded but alive. Cashin looked at him. The man who'd given him life. Who destroyed it. Who'd just tried to make him a murderer. Take him to the warehouse on 3rd Street, Cashin said to his men. Keep him alive. For now. Then he looked at Sage. Let's go home. They didn't talk on the drive home. Cashin held Sage's hand so tight, like if he let go, she'd disappear. Back at the mansion, he led her to his room, sat her on the bed, checked every inch of her for injuries. I'm fine, Cashin. You're not fine. You were kidnapped. Almost killed. Because of me. But I wasn't killed. Because of you. This is my fault. All of it. Stop. Sage grabbed his face. Forced him to look at her. Stop blaming yourself. You saved me. I put you in danger in the first place. I chose to stay. Even when I knew it was dangerous. That was my choice, Cashin. Mine. He pulled her into his arms. Held her like she was the only real thing in the world. I can't lose you, he whispered. I can't. You won't. Promise me. I promise. They stayed like that until dawn. 3 days later, Cashin called a meeting. All the crime families in the city. Every boss. Every captain. They met in neutral territory. An old hotel ballroom. Sage wanted to come, but Cashin refused. This is business. Dangerous business. You stay at the mansion where it's safe. Cashin. Please, Sage. I need to know you're safe. I can't think straight if I'm worried about you. So she stayed. Cashin walked into that meeting alone. 50 men. All armed. All dangerous. All watching him. He stood at the head of the room. I'm done, he said simply. Silence. What do you mean done? One of the bosses asked. I mean I'm out. Out of the business. Out of the city. Out of this life. Chaos erupted. You can't just leave. What about your territory? Who takes over? Cashin held up a hand. Silence fell. I've divided my territory among you. Fairly. Everything's already been arranged. My men know. My deals are settled. In 48 hours, I won't exist in this world anymore.
Why?
Rico asked. He was bandaged but alive. After everything you've built?
Cashin thought about Sage.
About the way she looked at him. The way she made him feel human again. Because I found something worth more than power. You're a fool. Maybe. But I'm a fool who gets to live. Really live. Not just survive. Cashin looked around the room. How many of you can say that? No one answered. I'm leaving.
Tonight. Don't try to find me. Don't try to stop me.
And if anyone comes after me or mine, I still have enough connections to make them regret it. Are we clear? Slowly, one by one, the bosses nodded. Cashin walked out of that meeting a free man for the first time in 15 years. Cashin returned to the mansion. Found Sage in the garden. Pack a bag, he said. What? Pack a bag. We're leaving. Tonight. Leaving? Cashin, what are you talking about? I'm out. Out of the business. Out of this life. And I want you to come with me. Sage's heart stopped. Come with you where? Anywhere. Everywhere. Somewhere we can just be normal people. Where no one's trying to kill us. Where we can. He knelt in front of her. Took her hands. Where I can love you without being terrified every second that someone's going to take you from me. Tears filled Sage's eyes. You really mean it? I've never meant anything more. I know it's crazy. I know I'm asking you to give up your whole life. But Sage, I love you. And I want to spend whatever time I have left making you happy. If you'll let me. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, of course yes. Cashin pulled her into his arms, kissed her like the world was ending, and she was the only thing keeping it together. When they finally broke apart, both crying, both laughing, Sage said, Can I ask you something? Anything. What about your father? Cashin's face darkened. He's in a secure location. He'll be taken care of. But he'll never be free. That's the deal I made with the other families. He tried to start a war. That's not something they forget. Do you think you'll ever see him again?
No.
And I'm okay with that. He stopped being my father a long time ago. Cashin touched her face gently. You're my family now. You're all I need. They left at 2 a.m. 1 bag each.
Cash.
Fake IDs Cashin had prepared years ago just in case. No destination. Just away. As they drove through the city for the last time, Sage looked at Cashin. Any regrets?
He thought about it. Really thought about it.
Just one.
What?
That it took me so long to do this. That I wasted so many years being someone I hated instead of becoming someone worth knowing. You were always worth knowing. Not until I met you. They drove in silence for a while. Then Sage said, Can I tell you something? Always. That first night, when you asked me to have dinner with you, I almost said no. Why didn't you? Because I saw something in your eyes. Something lonely. Something that matched what I felt inside. She turned to look at him. I think we were always supposed to find each other. Like the universe knew we both needed saving. You saved me, Sage. Not the other way around.
No.
We saved each other. Cashin reached over, took her hand. They drove into the sunrise together. 2 broken people. Finally whole, they found a small town in the mountains. Population, 3,000. No one knew them. No one cared who they used to be. Cashin bought a house with the money he'd hidden away over the years. Nothing fancy. Just a home. Sage enrolled in community college. Started her teaching degree. Cashin struggled at first, not knowing what to do with himself. His hands used to holding guns now held gardening tools. His mornings once filled with death now filled with coffee and crossword puzzles. But slowly, he learned to be normal. He got a job at a hardware store. Started volunteering at the local community center, teaching kids self-defense. They were just people. On their 1-year anniversary of leaving, Sage woke up to find Cashin gone from bed. She found him in the kitchen, making breakfast.
Pancakes. Burned.
But made with love. Morning, he said, smiling. I tried to remember how you like them. They're perfect. She kissed him. What's the occasion? 1 year ago today, we started our new life. I wanted to celebrate. After breakfast, they sat on the porch. The morning was quiet, peaceful. Do you miss it? Sage asked. The power, the money, the control. Cashin looked at her, at the woman who'd saved him from himself. Not even a little bit. I'd rather have this. This quiet. This peace. This life with you. It's worth more than all the power in the world. Good answer. I mean it, Sage. Before you, I was just surviving. Now I'm living. And that's everything. Sage leaned her head on his shoulder. They sat like that for a long time, watching the sun rise over the mountains, knowing they'd finally found what they'd both been looking for their whole lives. Home. Not a place. A person. 2 years after they left. It was a Friday night. Cashin was home, cooking dinner. Sage had class until 8. 8 o'clock came and went. 8:30.
9.
Cashin tried calling. No answer. By 9:30, he was pacing. By 10, he was terrified. At 10:15, the front door opened. Sage walked in, out of breath, her hair messy. Cashin stood in the middle of the living room, his face pale. Is this an hour to come home? His voice was shaking. Not with anger, with fear. Sage looked at him, confused. I'm sorry, I tried to call, but my phone died and I thought something happened to you. I thought someone found us. I thought he couldn't finish. Sage crossed the room, wrapped her arms around him. I'm okay. I'm here. I'm safe. Cashin held her so tight she could barely breathe. Don't do that to me. Please. I can't go through losing you again. You'll never lose me. I promise. Why were you so late? Sage pulled back, looked up at him, a small smile on her face. I had to stop at the doctor's office. To confirm something. Confirm what? She took his hand, placed it on her stomach. That in 7 months, we're going to need a bigger house. Cashin stared at her, his mind trying to process what she just said. You're pregnant. Yes. For a moment, he didn't move, didn't breathe. Then he dropped to his knees in front of her, pressed his face to her stomach, and cried. Not sad tears. Happy ones. We're having a baby? We're having a baby. Cashin looked up at her, his face wet, his smile so wide it looked like it hurt. I'm going to be a father. The best father. I don't know how to be a father. Neither did yours. But you'll be nothing like him. You'll be better. Because you know what it's like to be broken, and you'll never let our child feel that way. Cashin stood, pulled her into his arms. I love you so much it scares me sometimes. Good. Because I love you just as much. They stood there in their small house in their small town, holding each other, thinking about the life they'd built and the life they were about to create. And Cashin Wolf, the man who'd once controlled an empire through fear, who'd once thought he'd never deserve happiness, realized something. He was finally free. Free from his past. Free from his father. Free from the darkness that had consumed him for so long. And it was all because of the girl who'd arrived at his mansion with nothing but holes in her shoes and hope in her heart. The maid who broke the mafia boss and built him back up into someone worth loving. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world isn't a gun or a threat or an enemy at your door. It's love. Real, honest, terrifying love. The kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew about yourself. The kind that makes you want to be better. The kind that saves you from the person you were becoming. Cashin and Sage's story isn't about a mafia boss and a maid. It's about two broken souls who found each other in the darkness and decided to walk into the light together. It's about choosing love over power, choosing peace over control, choosing life over survival. Because at the end of the day, we're all just looking for the same thing. Someone who sees us, really sees us, all the broken, damaged, messy parts, and loves us anyway. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. Your support means everything.